In this session, we're going to continue the tutorial of the 2-day DBA series. By going through the tutorial, we previously looked at installing the database for non-container. In this one, we're going to go look at installing for containers. If you slide through the screenshots, you'll see what we're doing and can follow along. I'm going to go ahead and begin the process. The way I started this was I went into a copy of the Oracle Enterprise Linux 6 that we had installed that had the database. I did a clone of this. The clone copied down to a container, a 2-day DBA container. I then launched that, and that's what we have here. This is the run installer. The run installer is installed on the UL1 directory. We logged in as Oracle and executed the run installer. What this does is it goes through the Oracle Universe installer. Right now it's going out and looking for the host name, and is it a static IP address, is it a dynamic IP address. Basically it's trying to go in and make sure that everything is set up and configured properly for the database so that we can execute. This is the same as the previous one where we were doing a non-container database. The key difference is once we create and configure, do a server, do a single instance, we're going to do a typical install. At this point, we're going to leave this checked, and that will create a container database rather than a non-container database. Again, we're selecting a trivial password just because this is an example. That's okay. It's going through and doing the verification and the checks. As we saw in the last one, these are typical versions. It's not going to affect the install, but the parameters do need to be fixed, and we do that by executing a script. Once we execute the script, it goes through and checks again, and it says, yeah, we've got these problems, and we're going to ignore them and continue with the install. And at this point, it continues and does everything just like it did in the previous installation of a non-container. The key difference is we now have a container database that we can put pluggables into. If we look at the rest of the install, again, the key difference is having this box checked, and the pluggable database name is going to be PDB ORCL. That'll be our SID as opposed to the SID of ORCL. This is the stage we're at right now, where it's going through and installing everything. The next thing we would expect to see is it'll pop up and say we need to execute these root scripts. You open a terminal window, you execute the root script, which goes in and modifies the Aura inventory, and then modifies the user local bin directory. Then it goes in and does the DBCA and sets everything up as the enterprise manager. Now, I don't think it's going to actually come back and say the system identifier is Oracle, because if you look back on the screen back here, we'll have to look at what we did for this. I believe it was ORCL with a pluggable database, PDB ORCL. It's not going to be the fully qualified name like this just because I don't think we entered that. And at that point, once we've got to this screen, we click OK, we click Close, and we're done with the installation.